Well, hello, thank you so much for watching this video. My name is Fenna. I'm a full-time photographer in the Netherlands. I'm specialized in baby and newborn photography. So this video might be one of the most requested and most important videos to watch on my channel when you're interested in newborn photography. I am an experienced newborn photographer. I have been doing it for over 5 years. It's my full-time job. This is my studio. I'm not saying I know everything there is to know about newborn photography. What I'm sharing with you today is, in my opinion, what you need to know and what you need to have. So in this video, I'm sharing 10 things you need when you want to become a newborn photographer, in my opinion. So these are the 10 things that I think you need when you want to become a newborn photographer. Okay, I'm gonna mention them in like a random order, so I'm not starting with the most important thing. I might be ending with that. Number 1, a camera. Here you can decide, do you want to have a full frame camera? Do you want to have a crop camera? Do you want to go for Nikon? Do you want to go for Canon? Do you want to go for Sony? Or well, there are so many other brands and different types of cameras. I use at this moment my full frame camera. It's a Nikon D750. Number 2, a lens. You need a lens to take photos. The lens that I started with for newborn photography was the 50mm lens with an aperture, like the largest aperture it can handle was 1.8, and I was quite fine with that. It cannot zoom, so you have to actually move forwards and backwards when you want to go closer or take a photo from further away. It's quite a good lens. Just realize that when you photograph on a crop camera, the 50mm actually functions as a 75mm lens, kind of. So I would use the 50mm lens on a full frame camera. Right now I have a 24-70mm lens. It's from Nikon, and the aperture that you can photograph with, the largest aperture, is 2.8, and you can use it on the entire focal length of the lens. So when I zoom in with 70mm, I can still photograph with an aperture of 2.8. When I zoom out to 24mm, I can also use my aperture of 2.8. Another thing you might find really useful to have is a baby shusher or something equivalent to a baby shusher. This is just a white noise machine for babies. It has 2 settings. One where it turns off after 15 minutes, one where it turns off after 30 minutes. You can adjust the volume, and that's pretty much it. There are also apps on your phone which give like white noise for babies. There are stuffed animals with white noise for babies. There are toys that do it. But it's just nice to have this constant breathing sound in the background. It's actually, they say it's the sound of the blood running through your veins. That's what the baby heard in the belly. That's what calms them down, keeps them really sleepy. Everybody gets sleepy. The parents get sleepy, I get sleepy. So this is what it sounds like. That's it. There's nothing much else to it. But I think you need it as a newborn photographer. It's about $40, I think. And the batteries last forever. No, not forever, but a long time. Number 4, a heater. You need a heater. You need something to heat up your space. When you go to client's home, you need it to be warm. When you're in a studio, you need it to be warm. I talk in Celsius, and I have it to about 22, 23 degrees Celsius. I have an extra heater close to the baby. Well, not too close, of course. I'm always kind of like in between the heater and the baby. So I get quite warm as well. But it's just to give some extra warmth. The baby likes to be warm. You know, you don't want to photograph a baby who's cold because they're not comfortable. And you want the baby to be comfortable. Number 5 is light. You need light for your photos. So here you can determine, do you want to photograph with natural lights? Do you want to photograph with studio lights? When you photograph with natural light, you can decide, do you want to filter the light? Like, do you have direct sun coming in? Do you have sheer curtains to filter the light? Do you use reflectors to bounce the light? You need light to take photos. I'm not saying there's one type of light. I use a combination of natural light and studio light. That works for me. I've seen beautiful photos taken with just natural light. I've seen beautiful photos taken just with studio light. So, but you need light for your photos. So see where you want to go with your light. So number 5, posing pillows. In my opinion, you really need posing pillows just to get the baby in a certain position, comfortable, looking great. So you have a little pillow that you might want to put under their head, maybe a little pillow to get their legs up a little bit. I use them on the beanbag underneath multiple layers of backdrops, so you don't really see the posing pillow, but I'm still using it to support the baby. I also use it in bowls, in baskets, to have a little pillow underneath the baby's head, a little pillow maybe in the back, so the baby is safe, secured, comfortable, sleeping on little pillows. So I have these posing beans, just posing pillows. You can make them yourself. You can buy them. There are several web shops where you can buy them. I think the original photo blogs created the design of beans. These ones are a little bit different. Number 7 for me are backdrops. You need backdrops to photograph your baby on. It can be a blanket. It can be a piece of fabric. You need something to put the baby on. So for me, that's an essential to have a backdrop. You can go crazy with colors. You can keep it very neutral. You can use structures, you can use smooth backdrops. You can choose to photograph your newborns in props, but that's still like a backdrop, like a setting, a decor, something to put your baby in. Next thing you need, I think it's number 8, hand sanitizing gel. You want your hands to be clean, very clean. I sanitize them in between the session as well. I make coffee and tea for the parents. I clean my hands. I go and grab something. Afterwards, I clean my hands. So I clean my hands multiple times during a newborn session. Another important thing you need is an insurance. I strongly advise you to be a professional, to register your company, to pay your taxes, to have insurances. I can do a whole separate video about that, but something you need is an insurance. Another really important thing you need is a camera strap. And I've seen photographers taking photos, standing right above babies, getting their camera in front of their face, taking a photo from the top, really pretty, not wearing a camera strap. If that camera falls out of your hand, if it slips out of your hands, falls on top of the baby, you won't forgive yourself. Wear a camera strap so that the camera is secured around your neck. Some people have it maybe around their wrist. Make sure that the camera cannot fall on top of the baby. Very important. I have, one second. So mine is from blackrabbit.com, around my neck. Put my hand through, secured. I can always make it shorter, make it longer. Carry my camera on my hip. During weddings it's really great, but make sure it's secured well. Okay, so here were just 10 things that I think you need as a newborn photographer. Now I'm gonna go to the most important things that you need as a newborn photographer. And one of the things is education. I personally don't think you can just become a newborn photographer. You can become a photographer and then specialize in newborn and baby photography. But first, know your stuff. Study photography. When you are a pediatrician, you are a doctor who's specialized in treating children. But first, you become a doctor, then you become a pediatrician. Here in the Netherlands, we have special dentists who are specialized in working with children. But first of all, they're a dentist. They know their game. They know they have their profession, and then they specialize. First, study photography. Become a photographer, so that when you photograph newborn babies, thinking about the actual technical side of photography is the last thing on your mind. Your first priority should be on the baby, its safety, its comfort, and you don't really have to think anymore about your camera, if you know what I mean. I feel when I'm photographing newborns, like 90% of what I do has nothing to do with photography. It's holding the baby, handling the baby, putting the baby on the beanbag, undressing the baby, putting the baby to sleep, or putting a sleeping baby into a certain position where it's safe, it feels comfortable, it feels secure. I mean, the temperature of the room is super important, the materials I use are super important. and just making the baby feel good, because that's what you see on the photos. And then 10% of what I do is taking the actual image. And when I take the image, my focus and attention is still on the baby. I don't think about my shutter speed or my ISO or my aperture. It goes automatically, and I change it during the session. It's not like my settings are the same every newborn session and that I just set everything right in my camera before I start, and then I don't have to do anything with my camera anymore. I just click and all my attention is on the baby. Yes, all my attention is on the baby, but I'm still changing the settings in my camera as I go. And the settings, they change. Another question I often get are, what are your settings during a newborn session? I don't have one answer, because it really depends on the day. Like, I have a lot of natural light coming in, so if it's a cloudy day or if it's a sunny day, that really makes a big difference. The time of day as well, because then the light changes. Then the material I'm using on the beanbag, like which color it has, influences the amount of light that's falling onto the newborn. Then the skin type of the baby as well, because some babies have a darker skin, some babies have a lighter skin. I change my settings. Then the type of photo I take. Do I take a photo from above? Do I take like a macro shot? Do I take a photo from the side where the focus is really on the eyelashes, and then I'm photographing with a large aperture and everything just fade into the distance? Or do I take a photo with the siblings and I want both children to be in focus, so I photograph with a smaller aperture? Things change during the session, but I don't really have to think about them anymore. So yes, you want to become a newborn photographer? That's great. I completely understand you, because it's a wonderful job and it's great to photograph newborn babies, and they're so beautiful and precious, and I can't say it enough just how beautiful newborn babies are, but at the same time they are so vulnerable. As a mom, I feel like I have to protect my newborn, so I have to protect my kids. And when my babies were just born, I didn't really want anyone to hold them, actually, because I just wanted to hold them myself. And then if people were holding my babies, I would just watch them like a hawk to see if my baby was comfortable and safe, because I'm responsible as their mother to protect them. When a mother comes in my studio with their newborn baby, that's a big step for them, because they don't know me and they trust me to handle their baby, to photograph their baby, to touch their baby, to work in a clean environment, to keep their baby safe, to keep their baby comfortable. That's a big responsibility. So you don't just become a newborn photographer. In my opinion, you first study photography, you study the anatomy of babies, you do research like about babies, about what they can and cannot do, about how you should hold them, how you should support them. So first you become a photographer. You take portraits of adults, of older kids. You know all your settings, so that when you do a newborn photo shoot, you don't have to think about your camera anymore. You don't have to think about your shutter speed and your aperture and your ISO. It just goes. Like, you can just focus 100% on the baby. The most important thing is the baby's safety and comfort. You make sure that the baby is always safe. You use a spotter when you need it to help with props. And then when you know photography, when you can just shoot portraits in different situations, work with different lights, with different skin tones, you can know your white balance, you know some editing, you know photography, then you specialize in newborn and baby photography. So then you attend a workshop given by an experienced and good newborn photographer, and you learn poses. You decide which poses you want to do, which poses you don't want to do. There are certain poses that I don't do because I don't think they're very natural. I don't think they're good for the baby. I don't like them. I don't think they're pretty. So I don't do them. I stick to certain poses. I stick to my style. I have a lot of props, but you don't need all these props. You don't need all these headbands and hats and outfits and wraps. Like 1 or 2 wraps, great, because then you can wrap the baby. But the most important thing, the one thing that you should really invest in, is education. And it's not cheap. It shouldn't be cheap, because when a well-known, well-experienced newborn photographer is sharing her or his knowledge, which that person has learned over years. They have invested. It's their skill. It's their, it's their gift. They don't just give it away for free. You have to pay for it, and you don't just pay for the few hours that you're sitting there. It's not like their hourly wage is really high. You pay for all the years of experience and all the expertise, and then you just receive it as a gift, or you pay for it, and then you can start applying it yourself and grow your business. It's an investment, and it's super important, and I don't think you should photograph babies without training, without attending a workshop, without knowing photography. I get often the question, do you teach workshops? At this time I don't, because I don't have the time. I have my 2 younger children. I have about 8 sessions per week. I edit them, but maybe in the future I will, but they won't be super cheap, because I'm giving away my expertise, my experience, which is not cheap. But you want to offer a good quality product to your clients. You want to offer high standards, high quality, and the clients pay for that as well. So you should pay for your education. So besides training and education, there are many more things you can think about which you need as a newborn photographer. A name for your company, a web page, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest. You might need marketing materials, business cards, flyers, posters, stuff like that. Of course, I would say as a newborn photographer, you need a computer, you need SD cards, you need chargers, you need batteries, because you want to edit your photos and just offer a beautiful finished product to your clients. You want to have like a strategy. What kind of company do you want to be? What kind of style do you want to offer? You should think about your prices, your packages. Do you offer digital files? Do you do in-person sales where you offer finished products? Think about that in advance, so you know what your company stands for, and you know your strategy, you know your prices you should charge to pay for your time and effort and products that go into your packages. Think about it, brainstorm, talk with other photographers, see what they have. Don't just copy other photographers. Think of your own style, what you like, what kind of colors you want to use, what kind of poses, what kind of props. Make sure they're safe. Weigh down a bucket when you put a baby on top of it so it doesn't tip over. Always support a baby's head. Make sure it's comfortable, the baby's safe. I can do a whole separate videos about the safety of newborns, which is super important, but please attend the workshop. And then of course, you need a lot of patience, you need a lot of love. It's a great area to work in. It's wonderful, but please treat it as a professional profession. And working with children, you specialize in working with children. But first, you know your art, you know your profession, you know your skills, you know about the technical side of photography. You have good equipment, you have attended workshops, you know how to handle a baby. I also have a first aid degree specialized in babies and newborns. If something happens in my studio, even like if something happens with my own kids, I kind of know what to do. There are so many questions I can still answer. You can always ask them in the comments. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment, and then I can always explain more in other videos. This was just a general video about things that I think you need when you want to become a newborn photographer. So I cannot emphasize it enough. Education, no photography. Invest in education. Know what you're doing. Safety and the comfort of the baby is the most important. Newborn photography is not as easy as it seems. It's sometimes quite hard to get the baby asleep. Babies can be fuzzy. Yeah, it's not a doll. You can practice on a doll first. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. I'm just really passionate about newborn photography. And sometimes I get these emails of just genuinely enthusiastic people who are saying, oh, I love what you do. I want to do it as well. Where do I start? And I'm just like, where do I start to explain that it's so much more than just grabbing a camera and taking photos of a baby? It's so much more, and take it serious. The parents take it serious. They trust you with their precious newborn baby. So you should take it serious, because it is a very serious profession. And we want to offer a good quality, safety, protection for the babies. So I really hope you enjoyed it. See you in the comments.